Welcome to Concept Hunter. Today, before I press play, I want to talk about something. There was a Stencil jam. Stencil is a game engine that you can make games pretty easily with, and most of these games are usually platformers. So that means there were a lot of games today. I'm actually recording this pretty late. There were a ton of games, most of them platformers, and most of them fail on the basic stuff. And I'm talking about movement, basic movement. If moving through the game is not fun or is tedious in any sort of way, the special, cool, interesting, wonderful concept, no matter how wonderful it is, I'm not going to get there because the basic movement is terrible. If it's very sluggish and it's not crisp and perfect, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if it's not really fun to just move around through the game, then most of these games kind of fail, even if they have a really interesting concept, and that's what we usually look for. So I always go through the basics, I always talk about them, and it's, jumping should be allocated to the up key as well as any other key that you want, like space or W or Z or X or whatever. The up key should also jump. It's just more comfortable to play with one hand if you're capable of doing it, depending on the game. And the movement through the level should be pretty fast. It shouldn't be, if you're very, very sluggish, then it's just not as fun. And jumping shouldn't be as floaty. Should be a little bit floaty to allow for control, but not too floaty. And these are really, really important things before you get into any different cool concept experience. Before you get into any of that, the basic movement need to be fun. I cannot emphasize this enough, and I've seen a lot of games today that fail on that basic notion, even though they have an interesting concept. So, out of all of those games, I chose one that I actually finished, which is kind of important to me, and actually had quite a lot of emergent gameplay and made me stop. It's a completely puzzle platformer that also has a little bit of skill into it, but it made me stop and think, how the hell do I pass this? What are the mechanics that I have? What are the tool set that I have? And how do I pass this level? And I actually got really stuck in a couple of areas, and that almost never happens to me, and that's why I chose it. Sadly, the theme doesn't really speak to me this time, and we'll see that in a second, but it made me stop and think, and I finished it. So those are two very big things for me. So let's press play. The game is called D-Pression, and this is where you already started kind of losing me. It's kind of, usually it's a clever name, but in this case it's not really clever. It's just kind of, you didn't put too much thought into it, I'd say. Enter the darkness. And you really kind of lost me there, also with the audio, that it's just very loud, static. I have to click it, I assume, yeah. And there you've entered the darkest depth of your mind. Okay, so we're going to get started here, and it's only arrow keys, so I'm only going to be using the arrow keys here. Or WASD also works. No, only the arrow keys. Jump with the up arrow. You can climb up walls by continuously jumping on them. Okay, so this is a very specific mechanic to this game. We're just being introduced to the basics. You can press M and S in order to stop the music and the sounds. I'm going to do that right now because I disliked them in this game. It's mostly just static. The music is actually quite nice. Just a little bit of piano, but I'm going to mute it anyways. And when you're sliding down a wall, you'll jump furthest if you simultaneously press up and a directional arrow key. This is the third, the second specific mechanic here. We have jumping up walls, and this one is very important to this game. So these are the tools, this is the tool set that we really get, and then we could really start the game. Oh, he's back, stay away from him, good luck. So I'm not going to read any more from here on. There's text that's supposed to take you through some kind of journey through your mind in terms of depression, and I usually do connect to these themes. In this game, I just didn't. Maybe it's the lackluster performance that you get here, or the visuals. Usually visuals don't really matter to me, the art style, but here it just so does not speak to me in any way that I'm really staying away from the theme and the story, if you will, and just focusing on the mechanics. It just kind of, that side failed for me. The mechanics, however, are quite extraordinary, and the level design. The level design here is magnificent. So your shadow mimics all your movement, the surroundings differ. So clearly, we have a black ball that does exactly what we do. If we touch it, we lose, and I'll also tell you another thing. If it gets to the exit before I do, we also lose. And then we restart the level. So You can also press R to restart your thoughts, in a way. So I'm just going to go through a couple of levels here. I'm definitely not going to show you all of the levels because it's a long game, and you should play it for yourself just to experience it. It's very unique in the way that the game acts. And sigh, really? There's a really big sigh as far as I'm concerned from the story and the text that you have in this game. So yeah, definitely sigh. But the gameplay that you have here is nothing that we've never seen before. I mean, we've seen more than one character that moves, and it's not innovative in any way. The specific mechanics that we have here, with jumping on walls and with jumping from a wall, gets you further away than just movement, the normal movement, which is important. That creates quite interesting gameplay. Oh, there you go, I screwed up. And it actually, it made me think and made me get stuck in quite a lot of areas in a couple of levels. And it is, there's a very high amount of skill involved here and a very high amount of understanding required of you exactly what happens in the game. So remember the tool set. We have two main tools here, and I'm going to have to, okay, move a little bit smartly here right from the start, and then you're going to go in there, and then I'm going to go around. So there isn't too much for me to say. You kind of need to, okay, there you go. If it would have reached it, I would have lost. So here I have to be careful. Okay, there you go. I managed to do it. And you get this time where it's a little bit clutch, and you kind of need to move correctly. The first jump that you do, the second jump, you'll only be tilted a little bit to the right or to the left, depending on where you're jumping from. And this game is hard. There are a couple of levels throughout that we're not really going to reach them, but there's a couple of levels throughout the game where I stopped and thought. I had to try and understand how to complete the level. And some of them are kind of obvious, where you have to stop at a certain place, or something like I'm doing right here, where this one, he cannot continue and I do move on. But in a lot of cases, this game is simply hard. There you go. I managed to do it. And you really have to, okay, here you kind of have to just jump, make it there, and you make it. And I think I'm going to stop here and just, this is really the last level that I'm going to show you, and you can see that both of these sides really differ in just one little block, okay? One little block that you can't see my mouse actually, but the level design is wonderful. This is the strongest part here. The level design is wonderful. The emergent gameplay that you get out of this tool set is what sets this game apart from most of the other games that I've seen today. And the movement just works. The movement is crisp, and that's what I asked for in the beginning, right? So, D-Pression on the gameplay, wonderful. On the level design, wonderful. On the theme and the story, you'd call it, I did not enjoy it as much. But you should definitely play this, okay? I usually always tell you to play the games that I'm showing you, but this one you kind of have to play. There's a good chance that you'll get stuck in one of the levels, and I did notice that I actually got through the entirety of it without looking at any comments, but later on I always look at the comments, and there are people, I look at the comments to see other people's opinions, and they did get stuck at a couple of places, and there are a little bit hints here and there, or explanations how to get past levels, or how to try and get past levels. It's still skill-based. It's not a complete puzzle, okay? Some of them you have to just solve the puzzle, but some of them you have to play correctly. Skill-based game. And this game wins in that sense. It does so quite remarkably, and I really enjoyed this one. So, it's called D-Pression, and it's by Lucid Shadow Dreamer. That's it for Concept Hunter today. Thank you so much for watching as usual, and I'll see you guys next time.